Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. And welcome to a match preview ahead of our FA Cup fourth round game at Goodison on Sunday against Sheffield Wednesday. I'm joined by Paul McAllister, of course, and David from the County Road Bobblers. Warm welcome again, David. How are you doing, mate?
Good, thanks, yeah. Considering it's boring at the moment, isn't it? But getting through, waiting to be back at the ground, but hopefully it's sooner rather than later.
We'll have to wait and see, but it'd be nice to not have a couple of games not postponed. It would be really good.
And no, it's frustrating, isn't it? You know, especially when you're in a rich vein of form as we've been in as a side. You know, you get the momentum
on it, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so you don't want to be sitting around waiting all weekend for us to play again.
But of course, with that in mind, we've come off the back of a win against Wolves, albeit over a week ago now. But go into this game in, decent form. We're up against the side. Sheffield Wednesday are in the bottom three in the Championship. Are you confident, David?
You've got to be, haven't you? You know, you don't deserve to be in a competition if you're going to go out against a Championship side. It's always you've always got to dig in these games. These sides, it's a big game for them, and it's a chance for them to try and recapture something in the season. Maybe galvanise them a bit. But you look at their side, there's nothing to write home about. Like Barry Bannon, I think, plays midfield. There's not a lot of talent knocking around there. You know, you'd like to feel like we can afford to maybe rest a few players while still keeping a strong side. But we don't want to be in a position where we're chasing the game again towards the end of the game like we did in the last leg. And I do believe we did that because we rested some key players like Toffee. So you need to keep in a semblance of the important players in the team and make sure that, that balance, you get that right at the starting 11.
I mean, Paul, what's your take on that? How many changes would you like to see swapped in from the usual first team?
If everybody was fit, I'd like to see us go full strength because I can't be having another performance like the one we saw against Rotherham. It was far too close for comfort, and some players came in and just didn't perform, and quite frankly, don't deserve another go in the side again this early.
I agree with that. I'll be honest, Paul. I have to agree wholeheartedly. I was saying actually just before we started rolling to David that I don't think some of these players are motivated enough. Some of these B-side players, the ones who are sitting on the bench, I don't think some of them have the desire to come on and put the effort in for this club. And I think these players need to be sold sooner rather than later. I think Tosin Tosin's obviously one of the ones that always gets thrown around, but I think for me the one that really disappoints me is Bernard. I think he's absolutely washed up now at Everton.
Yeah, I've never been a big fan of Bernard particularly. I mean, I don't think he's a terrible player. I don't think he's this sort of... When we were first bringing him in 2 years ago, during that summer where he left Shakhtar Donetsk, I'm going to admit I didn't know a lot about him, but the way a lot of people were speaking about him is he was this former Brazil international and he played in the Champions League and he'd had some good showings, and you go and do that classic look him up on YouTube, don't you, where he looks an absolute baller. So I thought we were going to bring in this, little mini David Silva type player, this absolute little wizard, who as soon as he got himself fully fit and firing, then he could probably be one of our players of the season. And he's not delivered at any point. I know we didn't get him for a fee. We got him on a free, so that helps the sting a little bit. But I class his tenure at Everton so far as very underwhelming. And I'm at the point now where I'd be more than happy to see the back of him. And I don't think he should be trusted in these games where, okay, we don't want to play our first team players if we can help it, but we can't trust putting too many B players in because they just won't deliver because they haven't in the past. And he's one of them who falls into that category. I don't dislike him. He's not one of these players who's top of my list to get out. There's other players who I want to see shipped out first, but I just don't think he's got much use to the squad at all. And if we're not going to play our first choice left midfielder, I'd rather see Anthony Gordon given another go than Bernard, because even if Gordon comes in and doesn't really impress, at least he's getting precious minutes under his belt and he's getting experience.
And no matter what, Gordon worked hard.
Yeah, Gordon will work harder, and Gordon will grow from playing in these games. He will get better. Whereas Bernard, I think we've seen all we need to see of him now.
Bernard's at his peak. If not, he's on his way down, I think so.
It's on paper, you should think a player like Bernard will be having his way with the likes of a bottom half championship team. But as I mentioned earlier on, he's had games where he's come in against so-called lesser opposition and he's not done the business for me. So I don't think he's got any room to complain if he doesn't play at all. And Ancelotti, I think, has made his mind up on him. Clearly, Ancelotti doesn't hang his hat on him in the sense that he's going to keep him around for the long-term project. I think Bernard is on his way out, and if it's this month, then I think no one will be sad to see it happen.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, if we hear the rumours are true about the potential move to Al Nassr in Saudi Arabia for, we're talking like 9 million, 10 million, I think, for a free transfer and to get rid of those wages. Someone we sign for free and then get them wages off our books. I think that's excellent business.
I don't see that happening myself personally. Whenever you get these links from these oil-rich countries with no mark leagues, they always sound a bit fishy to me. I think that smells of an agent trying to generate some interest in him just to get his name out there in the hope that someone comes in. And even if it is real, I mean, I've just said a minute ago, I don't think Bernard's a mercenary or anything like that. I don't think he'd be happy to just go and have an early retirement in one of these no-mark leagues. I think he'd much prefer to go and play in somewhere like Roma if that interest's real. So I don't see Bernard going to whatever they're called, the Qatari team. Saudi Arabian,
yeah. I think.
Arabian, yeah. I mean, if the interest is real, then yeah, good. Like, I'll drive him to the airport, but I don't see that, and I don't think anyone should hold their breath. But just going back to the game, I don't want to see too many changes. If Calvert-Lewin's fit, I'd play Calvert-Lewin. If Richarlison's fit, I'd play him for a full 90. Decore is obviously going to play because he's banned for the midweek game, so you might as well play him to keep him sharp. And he will make a massive difference because I think he was the player we missed the most against Rotherham. So just play the team that will get this game won inside the first half, and then if you want to switch players out, then do it then.
Give the reserves a go after the break if we are winning.
Yeah.
I think that's the key there. When I mentioned before about making a few changes, the only ones that I'd really make a change of, I like to keep the spine the same in these games. You want a solid spine. So I'd like to see Big Mick Keane obviously play. He's our kind of rock at the moment, isn't he? The Kegger man, as he's been coined on that song the other day. I think we can afford to play Olsen. He's steady Eddie in goal. Had a really good performance. He's one that maybe he could bring in. I'd like to see Godfrey maybe brought in rather than Mina just for this game. He's played at that level. He knows the league a bit better. Obviously Digne's getting back to full pace, so I'll probably play him again, get him another 90 minutes under his belt. Coleman still needs a bit of fitness, so I'll bring Coleman back in maybe again. I think Dukes needs to play. He obviously, as you say, the suspension's coming up. We should have plenty of time on the ball. Gomez, I'm not a massive fan of, but we should have a lot of time on the ball, so I'll probably go with Gomez there. And I like to, Gylfi seems a shoo-in to play there. As I've been his biggest critic at times, but it's a game that really, he should get a few chances there. And like you say there, I'd actually go slightly different. I'd go with Richarlison up front. I just think he needs a goal at the moment. He's one of them players that, when it goes, I still feel as though there's going to be a run of form for him where he's going to go, 6 or 7 games and score 7 or 8 goals. He hasn't really had that patch this so far this season, and with injuries and suspensions, everything's gone against him. So yeah, if Calvert-Lewin's fit, I'd probably put him on the bench and give him the last half an hour. But I'd play Richarlison as a number 9, get him through the centre, and let's try and get him a couple of goals so he's firing again into form. I definitely wouldn't be looking at playing Cenk Tosun. He makes prime James Beattie look like Usain Bolt at times. He just can't run. And some of the moments in that last game, we were playing the ball long from our from our half, trying to get on the attack, and he was offside. And you're thinking, what else you've got to do? You just the only thing you've got to do at the moment is watch the line and be ready for the ball coming towards you. And he was offside, I think, twice in consecutive row. And I was thinking, what are you actually doing? Obviously, he got the goal, and it was a great bit of invention by Anthony Gordon. I agree, he should play. But, bar that, he just really didn't do anything at all. His miraculous hair was the only talking point for me that seems to grow back every game. But yeah, on the Bernard point, fully agree. I was a bit of a Bernard fan when he came. He works hard and all that kind of stuff. But the products were just not getting. He's not scoring goals. He's not getting assists. And at the end of the day, if we're wanting to push on, he needs to be chipping in with them, and you just can't see that happening for us. So I think it's right time to really move him on. 18 months left on his contract as well. So
definitely.
Problem with Tosin is we've seen now that even when he plays in a cup game against the lower league side, he just can't lead the line on his own. He can't. Not in English football. Even championship level defenders are just too big and too strong for him, and they're marking him out of games. I know he did well to get that chip goal early on against Rotherham, but other than that, and other than that goal that he had took off him later on, he wasn't in the proceedings at all. What did he do between whatever minute it was that he scored the chip and then 5 minutes from the end when he got on the end of that header from Rodriguez? It's like he wasn't even there.
Lost the ball, mainly.
Yeah, it's like having a statue up front. He's in the wrong country. He's in the wrong team, but he's in the wrong type of league anyway. He's just not going to thrive here. And he probably wouldn't thrive even lower down the table if he went back to Palace or he went to Brighton. He'd do better than he's doing here. He'd probably get 6, 7, 8 goals, but that's nothing to write home about, really, when you're an international level striker who's going to tournaments, which is what he wants to be. So Tosin, no.
He's been to the Euros before,
Yeah, and he was one of the big reasons that he went to Palace on loan last season was to get himself playing regular football ahead of the Euros. So Tosin, whatever you think of him, he has a bit of a reputation on the continent. Do you know what I mean? So he's not good enough to lead a line in English football, even when you play him against poor opposition like a bottom half championship sides, because he's had enough opportunities now and he just doesn't take his moments. It might sound like I'm being harsh because he did score against Rotherham, but his overall performance when you added it all up just didn't account to much at all. So I want to see our best striker up front because I just want to get goals in this game. And if you play DCL and Richarlison, then I think you're guaranteed that we'll put 2 or 3 past Sheffield, surely.
Yeah, I think the first team's very good, but is there any way that Sheffield Wednesday could hurt us?
I watched. I put myself through the pain of watching the extended highlights before on the Derby game, out of curiosity, and they look a very disjointed side. They've got really big lads up front. I think he's a Scottish international. Name doesn't spring to mind.
Gordon Rhodes. Patterson.
Patterson, yeah, and I think he's got 4 goals in 20 games. Seems one of these, a bit of a goal mouth striker, where if something drops, he'll put it in with his knee or his shin. There was a lad on the wing that seemed pretty tricky on the left wing, and when I say tricky, for that level. And bar that, he just had nothing. Barry Bannon was the fella pulling the strings in the middle, and that says it all, really. A bit of a journeyman kind of playmaker in midfield, isn't he? So one thing I did notice is that Bannon on the set pieces seemed to be a highlight for them. Every time they got a set piece, it seemed to be something they were relying on. So we're pretty good at set pieces. So that's a positive. But we just don't want to be in a position where we give them, a chance. We want to put 2 or 3 goals past them quite soon off and just kill them off altogether. They seem very vulnerable as well. A couple of games I watched of them earlier on crosses and balls into the box. So it'd be nice to see us get bodies into that box and really cause them issues. And like I say, let's just go out there and try and score 2 or 3 goals in that first half hour. And like Paul said before, then we can maybe rest a few towards the end of the game when it's dead and buried.
Yes, definitely the right strategy to take.
Is Callum Patterson that big lump with the moustache who Neil Warnock just dubbed up front for Cardiff?
Yeah, he's got a terrible moustache. If he scores against us, I'm going to be furious.
Yeah, he used to be. He used to be a
oh
defender.
My God, the state of that!
Yeah, do you not remember him?
Oh my God, it actually looked like the picture of a young Allardyce when he was still playing.
Yeah, he was playing for Cardiff in the Premier League a couple of years ago, and I think he used to be a defender in his early years.
He's a centre mid.
Yeah, as your centre mid, but I know he's a big unit of a fella, and Cardiff were just that desperate for goals that season because they were fighting relegation that they just shoved him up front and just literally went route one and hoped that they could get a lucky bounce. That's just an honest footballer. So I think by the signs that we know what Sheffield's best hope is. They're just going to come. They're going to be physical. They're going to try and outman us and outwork us for it. And if the attitude's like it was against Rotherham, then there's a good chance that they might get success with that. Because if they just throw the ball upfield and a couple of players at the back, Mina springs to mind, or maybe Holgate, if one of them just has a loss of concentration for a second, then a lucky ball could drop for them and they could stick it away. And the last thing you want is for these to score, especially in the first half, when maybe they take the lead or they equalise, like Rotherham did, and then everyone just kind of gets a bit nervy, thinking, oh, that wasn't in the script. And I just can't be having that happen. So as long as everyone is concentrating and everyone tightens up and they drill the set pieces in the days beforehand, then there shouldn't be too much of a problem, really.
I think that's the one thing I think Decore has to play to. We need players who will fight in the midfield, and I think Decore will do that. Tom Davis will, but is he physical enough? I don't know. But other players like Gomez and that, I'm not sure if they've got the stomach for the fight.
Gomez is stronger on the ball than Davis, isn't he? He doesn't move the ball as fast as Davis does, but he is better at protecting it and using his body strength. So I'd probably play him over Davis. I think Davis was a better fit against Rotherham. I know he didn't play well on the day, but in a team like that would just swarming all over us, having a player like Davis who'd get the ball and move it quickly was probably a better idea to have. Whereas a team like Sheffield, who are probably just going to fancy a bit of a physical fight, then I think having Gomez and Decore would probably be a better option because they can both look after themselves.
Yeah, and that in mind, the front four, who can you see there then? Sigurdsson as the 10.
It will be him, but I wouldn't put him there personally. I like us to just go 4-3-3 and play Richarlison on the left, Iwobi on the right, and Calvert-Lewin as through the middle, because that's our most informed attacking three at the moment. But Sigurdsson's going to play. You know, he will. He'll play as a number 10 behind whoever's up front. Anthony Gordon, I think, will probably play. It'll be Gordon or Bernard. I think one of them will get in. They'll play on the left, and on the right might be Richarlison. It might be Iwobi. You don't know, do you? But
depends who gets the nod up front. I'd like to see Richie get the nod up front. I don't really want to see Totem from the start.
No, I don't want to see 4-2-3-1. I hate that formation. And if you're going to play 4-4-2, then maybe there's an argument to put Tosin in there. But if you're going to play 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1, do not play with Tosin, please, because he just can't lead the line, no matter who's behind him.
There you go. So we'll leave it at that anyway. Predictions, guys. David.
I just think we'll go heavy on them quite early doors. I'm going 4-0 Everton. I think it's going to be a convincing one. I think bury them first half an hour, 2-3 goals, and then a bit of a total one at the end, just to round it off.
Paul?
I think it will be similar to what we saw against Salford earlier on the season. I'll go for a 3-0. I don't see them scoring. I think we'll maybe get 1 or 2 in the first half. That will settle everybody. Then the game will just kind of go into a lull for 20 minutes either side of half time, and then maybe we'll catch them out again, carve them open in the latter half of the game. So I'll go for a 3-0.
I did the opposition view with Dan Fudge from Wednesday week yesterday, and I predicted a 2-1 win. I think this isn't going to be anywhere near as easy as people are making it out to be. I think it'll be a slog, but I think we'll do it.
Well, you know more about them than I do. When I told you on that video when we drew them out the hat that they're not a team that I keep an eye on particularly. All I know about them is that they've parted ways with Tony Pulis, and if they still had Pulis there, then I would be a lot more concerned, because you know that they will just be really organised and tough to break down. But who's in charge there now? Have they got a permanent manager?
Neil Thompson. He's a caretaker manager.
The name doesn't ring a bell. I don't really know anything about him. But is he officially a caretaker? He's not like the permanent guy.
I have no idea, to be honest. But
he is the caretaker at the moment. So I think looked at the favourites, the managers before. There was the fella who got the Syrian fella who got sacked by Watford was the main.
Vladimir Ivic.
That's the one. And
is he the one who? Yeah, the fella who fell out with Deeney.
Yes,
the
one who benched Deeney. He's the favourite, and Paul Cook, the second favourite cookie there as well. They haven't had anyone in yet, but I think they are still expecting to point some more.
Well, that helps, because I think if there's a caretaker there, then a caretaker's only comes in to manage a team just to get results in the league, doesn't he? These caretakers very rarely put any stock in the cups because they're not going to get any credit for it if they win, because someone else is going to come in and take the job in the next week or two anyway.
That's an interesting take, actually, Paul. Let's hope that's the case.
I hope so, because usually when there's a new permanent manager there and the expectation is that he's got his feet under the desk and that he's going to actually build something, then I think everyone kind of perks up a little bit. Whereas when the caretaker's just there, it just kind of feels like take one day at a time, one game at a time. If we lose in a cup, then it's not the end of the world, because it's not what we're all concentrating on. We're all just waiting for the new manager to come in and whip us into shape in the league.
Yeah, well, we'll leave it at that anyway, and let's hope it's a bit more of David and Paul's prediction than it is mine, but we'll see anyway. Let us know your opinions, guys. Drop us a comment below with your predictions and how you see the game going, how you're feeling. Give this video a like and subscribe for more content. And until next time, thank you for watching on the Toffee Blues.